Welcome back. We are joined by author John McCormick. He is the author of the newest book in his series called 30,000 Secrets. There it is. A beautiful cover to that book as well. Thanks for being here, John. We are talking about your book, and I want to just preface this interview by telling people that this is a really quite an interesting topic, but also one that may not be that easy for some to read. I mean, it's addressing the struggles that some women go through when they're threatened by violence in their lives. I'll just let you maybe tell us a little bit about what this is.
Well, that's the background,
Yeah.
and what I'm attempting to do is give women the opportunity to be able to see how strong, assertive women handle the situations that they may be in. For instance, aggressive men. There are a lot of incidents in here, and the three women of this J team, there are 3 police officers, and it's not their law enforcement training that gives them the skills, it's their determination not to be used.
Right.
And so the idea is that women can read this and going, hey, if she can do it, I can do it.
So
You know?
it's an inspirational book. Would you say it's your hope is to encourage women through this story to leave abusive relationships, to
Exactly.
gain that confidence to move on? And
That's right, and the idea that, there's one scene where 4 women are at a pub, having a meal, and these 2 guys come up, and sometimes women have this idea, well, we don't want to make them upset. Well, these women don't have that problem. And so they give you an insight into how they can deal with that, and it works. And when I teach women self-defense, that's the kind of message that I get across to them. And quite often, when you have 15 women together like that, one of them will say, well, I've had that experience, I can do that. And so I'm hoping that the women that are reading the stories, will have the same reaction.
So you mentioned self-defense. Is that something that you teach quite often? I mean, tell us a little bit about your background, how you came to write this. How did this story come to fruition?
Well, I have a martial arts background, and I used to write for the Vancouver province, and my journalism instructor suggested that you put the 2 together and start writing a novel along the lines of my interest like that. And so the first book has several examples of women that I taught,
Right.
Without mentioning names. And so I've done the same thing here and just kind of flowed through. But this book here begins, with a mole and at the Western White House in Wyoming. And the mole is working for this terrorist group called Christians for a Better America. But they've also come into Canada, and they're getting their funding from Canada. And that's the tie-in together.
Okay.
And so this person realizes that he's been found out, so he takes off. And these 2 female pilots are the ones who find him. They're flying a helicopter, and so they find him. So that's kind of was fun to write. And again, these 2 female pilots, why can't I do that? Sure, I can do that. If they can do that, I can do that.
Right.
And then there is some radioactive material that is stolen from a mine in Manitoba. And the fun for me writing it, as I was mentioning to you earlier, was that I had to create this theft. And so I wrote it down and shared it with a friend of mine who was law enforcement. And he said, no, don't do it that way. This is better. So we did it that way, and it turned out really well. And then I had to have these guys be found out and captured. And so another member, he is the one who finds them in southern Alberta. And there's a shootout between the member and these 3 guys, and 3 guys lose. So yeah, so it's the RCMP and the Secret Service and so on.
Great.
And then intermixing with that is a lot of fashion, and a lot of foodies, cuisine and so on. And a friend of mine who is a chef in Kelowna, in the first book, he was the president's executive chef. Well, the president lost the election, so this guy's out of work. So he gets hired at, in Southern California So it's all over
It
the
all
place.
fits.
Yes.
I love it. Well,
Yeah.
how do people get their hands on this book?
Then just go
John?
to my website. and
Yes,
just-
which we
yeah.
have on the screen.
Yep.
Perfect. Great. Well, it sounds interesting, and I wish we had more time to hear about the series. But 30,000 Secrets is John's latest in the series. Please check it out. It's a fantastic read for sure. We'll be right back. Stay with us.